The old way of scaling Google Ads was hiring more performance marketers. The new way is building human-in-the-loop systems that make decisions for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through the exact Google Ads automation workflows we use inside of our ad agency to scale results without burning out our team. If you're new to the channel, I'm Silvio Perez. I'm the founder of AdConversion. We teach 9,000 plus B2B marketers how to master ads, and we manage over $40 million a year in ad spend for top B2B SaaS brands. The platform that I'm going to be using in this video is called Sammy. We actually built Sammy inside of our ad agency because we needed a way to scale our team's time while also driving better results for Sammy. And using Sammy, what we can do is we can build workflows to optimize performance, manage budgets, or monitor KPIs. A good way to think about it is like think Zapier, but built for ads. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the first workflow that we built inside of Sammy, and that's called monthly budget protection. And you can get started for free with Sammy so you can put everything we're talking about into practice. So what this sequence is going to do is it's going to notify me once I reach 80% of my budget on the first step. And then on the second step, it's going to pause all of my campaigns once I reach it for the month. So what I have to do now is I just need to go in and modify each step. So let's go ahead and modify step number 1. And we're going to choose our customer account that we want to apply this for. And we're going to go ahead and leave everything as is in terms of the rule conditions because it's already created for me. So in my case, I'm looking over the account. Sammy will just notify me. It's going to look every single hour, 7 days a week based on this month's data. And then it's going to follow the following condition in my rule builder. So here I have cost greater than or equal to 0.8 times my budget. So all I have to do is change this number to my budget. So let's just pretend I have a $10,000 budget and that's it. Now, if I want to get notified in Slack, I can enable Slack notifications. And now I can choose my channel that I care about. And then what I could also do is I can tag different people that I want to be in the loop on this message. So for example, I can tag myself. So let's do Silvio. I could tag other people on my team, for example, like Jessica, and so on and so forth. So I can add different people into my Slack notification. So when it gets hit into Slack, I get tagged as well. So I never miss these messages. And this is pretty much it. If I wanted to add in different variables into the message, I could. So for example, all of these different variables are being pulled in from my rule conditions. So if I add in conditions to my rule, I can pull it in here. So for example, if I wanted to pull in the channel name, so like maybe I would say channel, and then I would push that in there. And then now I have account name. And then I also have channel name as an example. So let's go ahead and save that. And now for my second step, I'm going to go ahead and modify this. And here in my second step, now I'm going to just update my values here based on my budget. So in my case, I have a $10,000 budget. So we're going to just go ahead and put $10,000. And that's it. Step 1 notifies me when 80% of my budget is spent. So in that case, $8,000. And then in step 2, once I hit 10K, it's going to go ahead and pause my campaigns. If I wanted to be a bit more safe because, there is an hour of margin because the rule is running every single hour on the hour, checking if you're hitting your budget or not. And I want to make sure I don't exceed $10,000. I could just set it a little bit lower. So like maybe 9,990 as an example, just so there's a little bit of wiggle room to not overspend the 10K. And then we're going to go ahead and enable Slack notifications. I'm going to choose my channel. I'll tag whoever needs to be on this message. And that's it. We're going to go ahead and save it. And now I would publish this. And now I don't have to worry about overspending anymore, which is dramatic in terms of peace of mind. And ultimately, like if you're running client ads, overspending budget is negligence, right? We can use automation to make sure that that doesn't happen. The second automation that we love to use inside of our ad agency that helps us drive better results for Google Ads and just help scale our team's bandwidth is pausing underperforming keywords. There are so many keywords in our accounts that we just let spend, and it just spends wastefully. The 80-20 rule is usually true, where 20% of your keywords are driving 80% of your results. But we kind of develop this irrational fear of pausing keywords because we think we're going to miss out on opportunities. And fundamentally, as a business, you have to decide what you're willing to tolerate and what you're willing to accept. However, I would say try to be performance driven. So for instance, like if you have a goal of driving opportunities for $3,000 and you have keywords that have never driven opportunities, or they only driven one opportunity in the past year and they're spending way more than that, I would probably consider pausing them because you're just kind of deluding yourself that you're going to be missing out on opportunity where you're really just wasting budget, and you're better off reallocating that spend towards the things that are actually working for you. So to use this automation workflow, the way it's going to work is we're going to go ahead and use one of our SAM templates here. And we have this SAM template here called non-performing keywords. So we're going to just use that to make this super fast and easy. And I'm going to go ahead and select Google, and it's already created out for me because I'm using a template. Now I just got to modify this rule for my conditions. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my customer account. We're going to keep here pause keywords with no conversions. Scope will be keywords. Task will be to pause. And then now what I have to do is I have to select the campaigns in which I want this rule to be eligible to fire based on those keywords. So I'm going to go to enable only my active campaigns. So this is a smaller account. I've got 5 active campaigns. And what I'm going to be doing is, or I should say what Sammy's going to be doing is Sammy's going to be checking all of these 5 campaigns, and it's going to be looking every single hour to see if those keywords are underperforming. So in this case, what we have is cost is greater than X and conversions is less than 1. So for instance, what this looks like in practice is maybe I have a goal of getting, conversions for less than $3,000. So in this case, if the keyword spent more than $3,000 and it never generated a single conversion over the lifetime of that keyword, meaning ever, it's gonna get killed. Like those, for sure, you can pause without a shadow of a doubt because it's never performed for you, right? That's obvious. So all I got to do now is I just need to enable Slack notifications, choose my channel, and then away as I go. I can tag myself and whoever in the message, and now I would know when this happens. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Silvio, I'm skeptical, like I want to have some human in the loop here in terms of giving my final blessing, then that's why you can go ahead and enable manual approval. And when you get your Slack message, there will be a button to approve the change so you can take that final action. So you can rest assured that you could still be in the driver's seat while also still using automation to scale your time. So now all I got to do is I just got to publish this and I'm done. I've got this workflow working for me. And now if my keywords are underperforming over the lifetime, they can get killed. Another way I could approach this, because this is only taking into consideration keywords that have never performed. Oftentimes what we find in Google Ad accounts is we have keywords that just have continued to underperform over time, but they were once our top performers. But given, competitive dynamics, multiple things, they just stop performing over time. So in that case, what we can do is we can adjust our rule. So instead of it being based on, cost greater than X and conversions less than 1, we could switch it around. So we could do something like if our cost per conversion is greater than, and then we could set a target. So like maybe I have a target of, let's say the maximum I'm willing to do is $4,000. We can set that target. So if my cost per conversion is greater than 4,000, and then I can switch the time frame to be based on the last 90 days. Now what this is doing is it's looking at my keywords and it's optimizing my keywords based on the ones that were once performing, right? Because you're not going to have a cost per conversion if you never generated a conversion in the first place. I hope that makes sense. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'll protect myself on an ongoing basis based on the last 90 days of performance. And 90 days is pretty considerable because if it's not performing over a quarter, then I think that's a pretty fair assumption that it's no longer working for you and you should start to make some adjustments. So this is an example of how I could tackle that. One thing too is you can completely customize this. So for example, like I can add in my custom metrics as well. So like, I don't know about you guys, but for us, we don't really use conversions often because conversions has all of our different conversion actions. So it could be misleading. So we're pulling in all of our different conversion actions that we have in these accounts so we can use it for our rules. So for example, I'm just looking here at the ones that are available in this one, and like they have this appointment conversion. So I can go ahead and add that. So I can say this appointment conversions is less than 1. So in this case, what it's doing is it's doing the exact same logic, but it's looking at if my campaigns or my keywords have spent more than $3,000 in the last 90 days and they haven't generated any single conversions. So you can completely customize these rules is really what I'm trying to say, so that you can have the flexibility to optimize your campaigns based on the logic that you're already following today. You can take that logic and then you can build a workflow around it to just scale your results and your time. Just wanted to take a quick second and say, if you're loving this video, you will absolutely love our free courses here at AdConversion.com. You can sign up for free and get access to all of our existing and future on-demand courses, such as Reddit ads, beginner, intermediate, advanced, LinkedIn ads, beginner, intermediate, advanced, Google ads, and so on and so forth. If you don't believe us, I get it. You can check out our wall of love. You can hear from all of the existing students and past students at AdConversion that have learned from us, taken our courses, and found tremendous value. People have landed jobs, they've started agencies. It's been really cool to see the impact that we've had with these courses. And if you're wondering why we're doing this, like we're trying to build the go-to place in the world to master B2B ads. I learned how to run ads with my own money as a broke college student, spending $10 a day on my DJ business, trying to make it work. And I remember the journey and what it was like coming up, trying to figure out who to learn from, getting ripped off in the process. And I really wanted to solve against that. And that's why AdConversion exists. So if that's interesting to you, go ahead and check out AdConversion.com, link in the description. The next automation workflow we love for Google Ads is to pause underperforming ads. So it's the exact same process that we walk through with keywords, but instead of doing things based on the keyword scope, you could decide to instead do it based on the ad level scope. So for example, what I would do is I would use this SAM template, non-performing ads, and it's going to follow the exact same condition logic, right? Where it's going to be based on cost greater than X, conversions less than 1. You can completely modify it like we've talked about. But all the difference here is instead of doing it based on the keyword scope, we're doing it based on the ad scope. And ads are much more flexible. So like with ads, generally speaking, like you can have more confidence to pause and, make more optimizations faster, because even if the ad gets shut off, the keyword is still enabled. So you'd still be serving across the other ad variations. So if you're a little bit more skeptical to make keyword level changes and you really believe in the sets of keywords you have, and it's really more of a matter of just making your ads perform better, then the ad level scope could be good for you. And just to close this out, I would do the exact same process. I would now come in here. I would choose my active campaigns. So in this case, it's going to be those 5 that we've been using throughout this video. And then I will just adjust my rule logic. So maybe for the ad level, I want to drive conversions for $1,000. So I could do conversions less than 1. I can switch it for that appointment custom conversion event if I want to. I can enable the notifications, get notified wherever I want in Slack, tag whoever I want, save it, publish it. And now I've got this automation working for me, because it's one thing to say like you check your ads often. It's another thing to say I've got a workflow that's checking my ads every hour on the hour, scanning for my conditions. It's a whole other beast. And one of the things that we found is when you start to use automation, the need for creative iteration dramatically scales, because the problem is, in reality, is like we just let our ads run for way too long without oversight, and we're just underspending, or we're letting it run longer because we have like a false assumption that we think it's going to start to perform when it just doesn't. And really, the optimization side of ads is truly mathematic. And that's why automation is really powerful for this. The next automation I want to walk you through is to scale your top performing campaigns. So if you have campaigns that are working really well for you, you want to make sure you're scaling limited by budget. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a SAM. We're going to use this daily pacing SAM template, and I'm just going to customize it, and I'll show you how. I'm going to select Google. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a SAM to increase budgets for our top performing campaigns. So let's go ahead and select my account again, and we're going to go ahead and increase budgets for our top performing campaigns. You can decide how aggressive you want to be in terms of making these budget changes. Do you want to be really aggressive and scale 20% every day? Or do you want to be a little bit more conservative and do 10%? You can also change the frequency. So if you don't want to make budget changes that often on a per day basis, you could do it on a weekly basis. So for example, I could do once a week, and I could do, let's say 20%. And then I can do it based on the last 7 days of performance. So if I wanted to, and this is basically mirroring what you would do manually, where you check on a Monday, you look over the last 7 days, you see what performed, you see what's limited, and then you increase the budgets, right? So this would mirror that on an automated way. You could also be a bit more loose or aggressive, where you do just based on this month, and then you can have this happen, once a day, depending on your preference. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to make sure my budget cap is suited for me. So in my case, like I don't ever want to exceed a daily budget of $250 to be safe. So I'm going to go ahead and set that. And I also don't want ever to be lower than 25. So this is kind of my wiggle room here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to update our formula. So the way we have it set up as a default is daily pacing greater than 1. And our cost per conversion less than our average cost per conversion. Daily pacing is basically looking at your spend yesterday against your budget and seeing, did you overspend your budget yesterday, right? Like, was your daily pacing strong? Because if it is, then that means you can probably increase your budget. So we could just use this rule, or what we could do to customize it further is we could say if our search loss to budget is greater than 100, because search loss to budget is a metric that Google created to tell you when your campaigns are limited by a budget. So what we could do is we could say if my search loss to budget is greater than 100, And now you can add your performance threshold. So for example, and my cost per conversion is less than my average cost per conversion. So now if my search loss to budget is greater than 100, my cost per conversion is less than my average, then I want to go ahead and increase the budget by 20% every single day until my search loss to budget is no longer greater than 100, as an example, right? Or actually, I shouldn't say 100 because it wouldn't be 100. I would say greater than 0. Because if you have anything greater than 0, that means you have some limitation of budget. So that's how I would modify this. And then lastly, we can just go ahead and enable Slack notifications. We can go ahead and, tweak the message. Won't go into that anymore. Choose the channel, save, and then publish. And now we are automatically scaling our top performing campaigns based on performance. I hope this video was valuable. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Really helps us grow our reach as a small channel. Subscribe so you can get notified of future videos. And when you're ready, come check us out over at AdConversion.com and join our community of 9,000 plus B2B marketers mastering ads with our free courses. See you in the next one.